She was admired by everyone, except the man she married. This is not a love story. It's a story about a woman who belonged to a title, a family, and a country, but never to herself. This is the story of a marriage without affection and a love that was never allowed to exist.
In fact, it can be rather pleasurable.
Yes, I know.
Close your eyes and try to envisage grey.
They never do such things.
Oh, yes, they do. Close your eyes. Grey is behind you. See?
The film is based on a true story. The events begin in England in 1774. In the opening scenes, we see young ladies placing bets on which gentleman will reach the finish line first. Young Georgiana bets on Charles Grey. Watching from a window is the Duke of Devonshire, who has come to visit Lady Spencer. He intends to marry her daughter, Georgiana. The Duke is primarily concerned with whether his future wife will be able to give him an heir. Charles finishes first, so Georgiana wins the bet. But suddenly, she is informed that her mother wishes to see her. Georgiana's mother is overjoyed to learn that the Duke of Devonshire himself wants to marry her daughter. For her, it is a perfect opportunity to climb the social ladder.
But he loves me.
Yes, of course.
I've only met him twice.
When one truly loves someone, one doesn't have to know them well to be sure, Georgina. I do believe you will be happy with him.
Oh, I shall, Mama.
The wedding day arrives. London greets the well-known Duke and his young bride. Georgiana is brought to the vast Devonshire estate, where she is now addressed as Your Grace. She soon learns that the Duke adores his dogs and hardly communicates with people. In the evening, the maids prepare Georgiana for her first night as a wife. William enters the room and asks everyone to leave. Georgiana is very nervous but maintains her composure. Later, she meets with her mother during a card game and confides that her husband barely speaks to her. The only things that seem to interest him are his dogs. Her mother reassures her that once she gives birth to an heir, everything will change for the better. At another grand event, the Duke appears bored while others engage in lively discussions. Mr. Fox raises a toast in honor of the Duke and his young wife. Georgiana is educated enough to keep up with political conversations. Fox is impressed by her wit and intelligence. Unexpectedly, the Duke gets up from the table and leaves the guests behind. Georgiana follows him and asks if everything is all right. William replies that all the talk bores him and that he hates rhetoric. Georgiana returns to the guests alone. She skillfully eases the tense atmosphere. But later that night, when she enters the bedroom, she sees a maid running out with a dress in her hands. Georgiana demands an explanation from her husband, but he acts as though nothing significant has happened.
I don't understand.
Come here.
Months pass. While the Duke and Duchess are having breakfast, one of the maids brings in a little girl named Charlotte. William informs his wife that Charlotte will now live with them. According to him, the girl's mother has died, and she has nowhere else to go. It is clear that the Duke is Charlotte's father. By this time, Georgiana is also pregnant. In the evening, she sees a maid comforting the crying Charlotte. Despite her own frustration with the situation, Georgiana genuinely feels for the little girl. Winter arrives. At another grand reception, Georgiana becomes the center of attention for many noble gentlemen. She is not feeling well as labor pains begin. Meanwhile, her husband raises a toast to the 6th Duke of Devonshire, who is expected to be born that very night. Soon, Lady Spencer arrives at the estate. Meanwhile, William is amusing himself with his dogs. He is disappointed that his wife gave birth to a daughter instead of a son. Georgiana, however, is overjoyed and refuses to let the servants feed the baby. She does it herself. William is irritated by the baby's cries echoing throughout the house. 6 years pass. Georgiana is now raising 3 girls: Charlotte, Harriet, and little Georgiana. The Duke continues to spend his time with the dogs. The family arrives in the city of Bath for a holiday. Georgiana gives a toast in front of numerous guests. She has become a style icon, setting new fashion trends. All the noble gentlemen and their wives admire her. William notices an attractive lady named Elizabeth and begins to flirt with her, but Elizabeth apologizes and walks away. Meanwhile, Georgiana dances with the guests and then decides to introduce herself to Elizabeth Foster. Elizabeth admits that she is currently avoiding male company.
I don't believe we've been introduced.
No, we haven't. Lady Elizabeth Foster.
I saw you talking with my husband.
He wanted to dance.
It's not usually considered his forte, and you declined.
I'm ill at ease with male company for the moment.
William decides to leave, and as he does, Georgiana tells her new acquaintance that she would like to see her again. The next meeting happens quickly. Georgiana takes her daughters for a walk, and Elizabeth joins them. Elizabeth reveals that she also has children, 3 sons. Georgiana, in turn, shares the story of Charlotte, whom she has come to love as her own daughter. Unfortunately, she still cannot give birth to a son, which remains the Duke's greatest wish. Suddenly, Georgiana notices terrible bruises on Elizabeth's neck. They are the result of her husband's abuse. But the worst part is that he has taken the children away and forbidden Elizabeth to see them, leaving her almost penniless. Georgiana is horrified and offers Elizabeth to stay with them at the estate. William does not object. Upon returning to London, Georgiana shows Elizabeth around their residence. Now the Duchess no longer feels so lonely. In the evening, Elizabeth joins the couple at the theatre. Among the guests is Charles Grey, who is now a member of the opposition in Parliament. The leader of this party is Mr. Fox, and Charles is his protégé. Charles learns that the Duke of Devonshire's marriage is far from perfect. Later that evening, while talking with Elizabeth, Georgiana admits that she has feelings for Charles. Elizabeth notices this and suggests that Georgiana close her eyes and imagine herself next to Charles. At the next reception, Georgiana meets Charles again. Parliamentary elections are approaching, and she intends to support her old acquaintance. She introduces Charles to the public, and he delivers a speech praising freedom and calling people to change. Georgiana is deeply moved by his passionate words. She manages to gather 3 times more listeners than expected. She directly asked Charles if he thinks about her in her absence. The answer was more than obvious. Georgiana returned home in high spirits, but when she saw the servants gathered near Elizabeth's chambers, she sensed something was wrong. From inside, she could hear sounds that left no doubt Elizabeth was having fun with the Duke. Georgiana didn't know what to think. She went to her rooms and stayed there until morning. She couldn't understand why, out of all the women in England, William had chosen her friend. Elizabeth had been her only support in this unhappy marriage. William justified himself by saying that, as a husband, he had fulfilled all his duties, unlike her. Georgiana demanded that Elizabeth leave the estate immediately, but William refused. Elizabeth heard their argument.
Of all the women in England, you had to throw yourself on her. I have never once objected to any of your affairs. I have accepted whatever arrangement you have proposed. I have raised Charlotte as my own daughter. But this, I have one single thing of my own. Why couldn't you let me keep Elizabeth for myself? What kind of man are you? She is my sole comfort in our marriage. You have robbed me of my only friend. What is wrong with me?
Georgiana had no choice but to seek advice from the only person she still trusted, her mother. Her mother advised her to return to the estate and take control of the situation. There was no other choice. Georgiana did as she was told. William met her, and she didn't say a single word of reproach. Later, Elizabeth came to Georgiana to explain herself. William was one of the most influential men in London, and he was her only chance to get her children back. But Georgiana couldn't forgive such a betrayal and asked Elizabeth to leave. She watched from the window as Elizabeth reunited with her sons. William spent a lot of time with the boys, as he had always dreamed of having a son. For Georgiana, it was unbearably painful to watch. In search of comfort, she went for a walk with Charles. Only with him could she truly be herself, for to everyone else, she was the Duchess of Devonshire, the woman who amazed the world with her extravagant dresses and wit. Charles kissed her, and she kissed him back. At home, she had to dine at the same table with William and Elizabeth. Georgiana openly stated that if they loved each other, she would not stand in their way, but only on the condition that William would allow her to be with Charles. Of course, William refused. He was not about to become the subject of ridicule throughout London. Moreover, he would never acknowledge Elizabeth's sons as his heirs. Georgiana left the table. William followed her and, despite her protests, forced himself on her. Elizabeth heard everything as did Charlotte, whom she hurriedly led away from the room. When it was over, William asked Georgiana to give him a son. Until that happened, she would remain there. Charles was gaining more and more popularity among the people. Georgiana continued to support him, but it was unbearable for her to see the man she loved and not be able to be with him. In the evening, another reception was held. Georgiana drank too much, stumbled during a dance, and hitting the stand, set her wig on fire. People started whispering. The doctor, after examining the Duchess, informed William that she was pregnant. After some time, the long-awaited boy was born. According to the terms of the marriage contract, Georgiana received a reward for giving birth to an heir. However, she looked exhausted and depressed. She continued to spend her free time with her daughters. One day, she saw Charles, who had returned from France. They talked about politics, but both felt unbearable longing. Meanwhile, the Duke was celebrating the birth of his heir in London, and Georgiana went to the gambling hall. She and Charles couldn't take their eyes off each other. When Georgiana was about to leave, Elizabeth caught up with her and hinted that it was she who had secretly invited Charles. As soon as the guests left, Georgiana went to her lover. At home, during dinner, Georgiana announced that she planned to go to Bath for the healing waters. Elizabeth helped her come up with a plausible explanation for her husband. In Bath, Georgiana and Charles did not part for a single moment. When Charles went to meet with his political allies, Georgiana found her mother and William in her chambers. Rumors about her affair with Charles had reached them. Georgiana said she wouldn't leave Charles because she loved him. Her mother reminded her of her duty as a duchess and that she could not cast a shadow over the Duke's name. William made it clear that if she didn't break ties with Charles, he would ruin Grey's political career. Moreover, she would never see her children again. Confused and upset, Georgiana ran away. But later, after calming down, she returned to her husband with her mother and asked for permission to return to London without him. William handed her the letters from the children, but she remained resolute. That night, Georgiana waited for Charles. However, after reading the letters from her daughters, she burst into tears and took the first carriage back to London to embrace her children. William was pleased that they had come to an agreement. One evening during dinner, the family heard Charles's voice as he tried to enter the residence to speak to his beloved. He had been sending dozens of letters, but all went unanswered. Charles wanted to marry the Duchess, but Georgiana declared that she would never leave her children.
I want to marry you. I want you to bear my children, and I don't care if they are boys or girls!
I wish it could be that way.
It can. It will. You must leave and be with me. A free woman. Now, let us leave now!
I cannot abandon my children. Listen to what you are asking me to do.
She returned to the table. Elizabeth looked at her with sympathy. Suddenly, Georgiana announced that she was pregnant with Charles Grey's child. Sometime later, William made a decision. His wife would go to a remote village to give birth. The newborn would be sent to live with Charles's family. Elizabeth declared that she would go with Georgiana. William was categorically against it, but Elizabeth was adamant. As agreed, the women set off for the village. Time passed, and the baby was born. Georgiana decided to personally hand the daughter over to Charles's father. The meeting took place far from prying eyes. Georgiana held the baby in her arms and named her Eliza. She was ready to run after the people taking her child away, but Elizabeth held her back, embracing and calming her. Returning home, Georgiana fell into a deep depression. William offered her a truce, as he did not want to live in constant tension. That evening, a ball was held in her honor. Charles was also present. Georgiana started a polite conversation with him and learned that he was now engaged. He also mentioned his niece, Eliza, whom Georgiana should visit as soon as possible.
And I have a niece, Eliza, who is very much loved. One day you should come and meet her. In a little while, if you would like.
I would like that very much.
She learned how to smile in public while breaking in private. She gave him airs, respect, and silence, and received loneliness in return. The love she once found was taken from her, not because it was wrong, but because it was inconvenient. Sometimes, the most tragic love stories are the ones that were never meant to survive.